Hello everyone, my name is Jarrett Allen and I'm the Vice President of PMI Riverside. We're a local property management company in Riverside, California that currently oversees $30 million worth of rental property. In today's video, we're going to go over the very annoying Tenant Protection Act, which is a bill that was passed in 2019 that changed the way landlords go about their day-to-day business. Okay? How this is going to work is I'm just going to basically tell you about everything that the law says, who's exempt from the law, what it means for landlords, stuff like that. And the Tenant Protection Act, or what I call AB1482, has a lot of legal mumbo jumbo. If you want to read the important parts for yourself, I've written a detailed blog post that breaks down everything line by line. You'll find that linked in the description, and you can just look it up, pmiriverside.com/blog. But for now, let's talk about what this law actually changed, and more importantly, what it means for landlords right here in Riverside. So, AB 1482 introduced two major statewide rules that all California landlords need to understand. The first one being rent caps, okay? You can't raise rent more than 5% plus the local cost of living increase, or 10%, whichever is lower, and you're only allowed to raise rent once every 12 months. Now, I recommend looking up a cost of living calculator. However, more than likely, 10% will always be the lower number of the two. As for the second major rule, we have just cause evictions. So, once a tenant has lived in your unit for 12 months or more, you can't just end the lease without a valid reason, which the law calls just cause, okay? Makes sense, right? It's not the video game, it's a law. Anyways, just cause breaks down into two categories. You have at fault, where the tenant violated the lease, or no fault, where the tenant did nothing wrong, but you need the unit back for a valid reason. So, what does this mean if you're a landlord in Riverside, or just a landlord in California? Well, for starters, you can't just raise the rent to match the market overnight. You have to stay within those caps, even if your expenses go up. So what I recommend doing is doing a rental analysis every year. And also, when it comes to ending the lease, a process like that is just no longer that simple. You have to know exactly what qualifies as just cause, and sometimes you might even owe the tenant money, especially in no-fault situations, which is why documentation, lease language, and timing are more important than ever. So, now that we've talked about what the law is, let's actually talk about who's exempt from the law. And for those who don't know, if you are what the law calls exempt in California, that means that said law does not apply to you. So, if your property was built in the last 15 years, you're exempt. If you live in one half of a duplex and rent the other side, you're exempt. If you own a single-family home or condo, and you're not a corporation or LLC with corporate ownership, you're exempt, as long as you give the tenant a written exemption notice in the lease. Important, if you don't do that, you're kind of screwed. Now, short-term rentals, student dorms, religious housing, and shared owner-occupied homes are also exempt. But here's the catch. Even if your property qualifies, if you don't include the right legal wording in the lease, you could lose your exemption. It's got to be written clearly in 12-point font in either the lease or a signed addendum. Again, this is really important, or else you're screwed. So, how do you stay compliant? First, make sure the lease includes the legally required disclosures, okay? Whether you're covered by AB 1482 or exempt from it, you have to have those. Second, when it's time to raise rent, do a rental analysis and attach it to the rent increase notice. Make sure that you're within the legal limits, okay? It's really important. Third, sorry, it's hot out. It's like 100 degrees. I got no AC because it ruins the quality of the mic. Anyways, if you're issuing a lease termination notice, especially for no-fault reasons, you have to make sure whether you need to waive the last month's rent or pay relocation assistance. If you don't, the notice is invalid. Okay? Fourth, don't forget to serve a proper cure or quit notice if you're dealing with a lease violation. That step is legally required before you can move forward with a termination. And lastly, if you're not 100% confident you're doing it right, you can always look into hiring a property manager. Legal compliance is pretty much what we do every single day. And guys, AB1482, or the Tenant Protection Act, changed a lot about being a landlord in California, and in a place like Riverside, it's crucial to stay on top of these rules if you want to protect your investment. Whew. Now, if you found this video helpful, please, please, please make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you guys have any questions at all, please leave them down in the comments. I reply to every single one. It's not a big deal. Other than that, guys, have a good one. Thanks for watching.